Hi, this is Gary with MACMOST.com. Here are some design elements you can use in your next Pages document. MACMOST is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 1,000 supporters. Go to MACMOST.com/Patreon. There you could read more about the Patreon campaign, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. Now when you're creating a long word processing document, often that document could just be page after page of solid text. But you can break up that text with various design elements. Here's how to create those in Pages. So the first one I want to show you is called drop caps. And this allows you to take the first letter or a few letters of a paragraph and emphasize it by making it larger and cover more lines. So for instance, for this first paragraph here, I just point my cursor in there so you can see it blinking. And then on the right I go to the Format sidebar, and then under Style I go down to the bottom and there's Drop Cap. I'll switch that on and you can see that first letter I now appears really big. I can scroll down further and see that there are more options, and I can choose from various styles. Like for instance, I can choose this style instead and it will encase that letter inside of a box. If I click on Options here, then I get complete control for all sorts of different aspects of the drop cap, including how that box looks. A drop cap helps you see the beginning of a new paragraph. Another way to do that is to have some space between paragraphs. So I'm going to select All with Command A here, and you can see I've got various paragraphs, but it's hard to tell where one paragraph ends and another begins. However, under Format and then Spacing, there's before paragraph and after paragraph. Now if you're going to do this for all paragraphs, it really doesn't matter which one you use. I like to use after paragraph and increase it to a certain number of points. So let's say 8 points here. And you can see now with 8 points separating each paragraph, the text is broken up a little bit. It's much easier to differentiate each paragraph and thus read through the document. Now once I've got this done, notice how the body style has an asterisk next to it. I can simply use Update, and now the body text style has these 8 points after each paragraph built in. So any new paragraphs I add will behave the same way. Now another way to tell where the beginning of each paragraph is to add an indentation. So with my cursor here in the first paragraph, I'm now going to go to Layout, and you can see now there are indents there, and I can add an indent for the first line of the paragraph like that. I can set it to any size I want. So here I'm just going to leave it at 1/4 inch, and you can see how body text style now has an update that I can apply, and it will apply to all the paragraphs. Now it might be nice to sometimes have a divider line between paragraphs. You may do this actually by just inserting a blank line and putting a bunch of dashes like that, and then go to Format, Style, and then Center, and it will work. But what would be nicer is if you actually had a real line there. So I'm going to erase this, and I'm going to go to Shape, and I'm going to insert a line right here by clicking on the line. It's the first item under Basic Shapes. And now you can see the line there. I'm going to drag one end of the line so it's horizontal like that and position it right where I want. Now I want this to stick with the text, so I'm going to go to Format and then Arrange with the line selected and change Object Placement to Move with Text and Inline with Text. And this will place it like a character in the text. I'll put the cursor right before the line and put a return there. I'll get rid of this extra little paragraph here, and you can see how this nicely fits right there, and if I add more paragraphs before, it will move down. I can put the cursor in that paragraph right there, go to Format, Style, and then center that line. So now it's nice and centered, and no matter how long I make this line, it will recenter itself. Now I could also go to Format, Style, and with the line selected I could change the line style. So for instance, I could change the type of line. I could make it a dotted line. I could use one of these special brushes here like that. And I can change the size. I can change the color if I want. And if I like how this looks and I want to use it somewhere else, I can actually select it like a regular character. So I'm going to put the cursor after it, and maybe just to make it clear that you're selecting, I'm going to use Shift and left arrow to select the character to the left. I can copy it, and then I can go to a new spot, add a new line, and paste that in. Now you don't have to just use lines for that. You can use any shape. So I'm going to insert another shape here. Some nice shapes to use for dividers are the ornaments. So I'm going to choose an ornament here on the left, and I'll choose an ornament, say like this. And now you can see how I get this right here. I'll do Format and then Arrange, Move with Text, and Inline with Text. And now you can see where it is. I'm going to select it and cut it, Command X, and then paste it on its own line like that. And then I could center that line and have this nice shape. I can still click to select the shape and I could resize it if I want. I could of course select from many different shapes here. I could also do a curved line. I can use the pen tool and draw my own line. Now another thing you can use is a text box. So this is useful when you want to insert some text between paragraphs to break up the paragraphs and maybe emphasize something. So I'll create a new text box here and I'll enter some text. I could select some text here and just reuse that and paste it in. Then for this I could restyle the text. Let's go here and take away the indent. Under styling I'll center it. I'll increase the font, make it bold, and then I'll resize this text box. And I can use this text box in the same way by going to Format, Arrange, and then Move with Text, and then Inline with Text like that. And then I can move it to the end of a paragraph and give it its own paragraph. Let's go ahead and center this. And you can see how I could have that. I could even go ahead and change the style here. So for instance I can give it a fill, like a color fill. And let's give it like a gray there, or maybe some other color like that. Or I can make the color fill something dark, maybe black, and then change the text to white like that. Now you can also make a paragraph stand out by simply changing its margins. So I can select this paragraph here or just put my cursor anywhere in it and then go to Format and then Layout. And let me give it a little bit more margin on the left and on the right. I'll adjust the indent appropriately if I want. And you can see how now it stands out like that. And I can also go back to Style here and give it a little bit more space after the paragraph and then some space to match that before the paragraph like that. What really helps then is if you just change maybe the font slightly. So I can make this say italic or give it a different text color like that. Another useful thing to do sometimes is to have a page break, especially when a paragraph ends a thought but the next paragraph isn't necessarily starting a whole new chapter. You can just go to the beginning of a new paragraph and do Insert Page Break, and you could see how to just leave some blank space here and the new part will start on the next page. Another thing you can do is with a paragraph like this, if you want it to all be together on the same page, just put your cursor anywhere in there and then go to Format, More, and then check Keep Lines on the Same Page. So now it's always going to make sure this paragraph appears on the same page. If it overlaps two pages it'll just set it up to start on the next one. Now another thing you can do to break up your text is to add bullet lists. So you can just go with a new paragraph here and then go to Format, Style, and then set a bullet list style. So I can choose say a standard one like this and I could create a bullet list. And you can continue to adjust. I would probably get rid of the indentation on each one of these like that and then have this be something that breaks up the text on either side of it. It could just be like a mini table of contents highlighting several points that are to come in the paragraphs following it. Now of course you could also have images and graphics there. You can even create infographics in various apps and bring them in. But if you want something quick you can always just do a chart. When you do a chart you can select one of these, and some of these take a lot of data. But you could do something really simple like a pie chart like this. And the pie chart itself could just have a small amount of data, just a few numbers, and have a little bit of something that breaks up your text. And you have more than just this option because you could also do the 3D pie chart and then you can get really fancy with how it looks. Anytime you have a little bit of data, like something's 40% one thing and 60% another, you could always create a pie chart to break up long, unending pages of plain text. So I hope you found these ideas useful. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, click the thumbs up button below to let me know. I publish new tutorials each weekday. Hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out.